Good morning. Good morning.
We never come forward and say we don't need capital.
9 o'clock on the dot, no you should check me. Here for an hour, I promise this talk is heavy. I'm cooking, just get it started, don't go asking if it's ready. Cause I told you that we was cooking, this compliments to the chef, let's go.
Good morning, creators, and welcome to part 2 of the Live at 75 episode. I'm your host. Well, dang, I don't even know what to do no more. I'm not your host this episode.
Nope.
I'm actually here. I'm going to have a special guest host for you guys tonight. But we really going to talk about this creative journey and what it means to be a creative in this space. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest host, Miss Jasmine Pearl.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. How's everybody out there? Great. We got a great audience tonight. Socially distanced, of course.
Of course. Live audience, make some noise. Big Lotto.
Big Lotto.
I don't know. I've been sipping.
All right, Sag Energy. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm honored to be here today in your seat. I'm in your seat.
You are
I'm the first one to be in your seat.
the first.
I feel kind of special.
You should, because this has been happening again. This is it. This is it, folks. I hope you enjoy this.
So this is your 75th episode.
Yes.
And
Yeah. All right.
yeah,
I see the love.
let's clap it up for that.
I'm back, baby. Where the love? Where the love at?
75 episodes. So, I mean, how did this all begin? Like,
I mean, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Wait, that's not my life. Nah, honestly, this really started just out of an idea. Like, a little over a year ago, it was actually a thought of mine to host a late night talk show because honestly, I didn't see other black people and late night talk show, and I think we can do this. I think this is something for us. And on top of that, it really also came out of necessity during the time of a pivot in a pandemic where I had nothing else going on. And this idea was kind of just scratching the back of my brain. And for me, I think God's purpose always comes to the forefront. I kept delaying when I was going to do this, and it kind of just forced me into this space.
so I mean, you did come out during quarantine.
Yes.
And I think that was ideal for like all of us because we were sitting in the house with nothing to do. So you gave us something to look forward to every Tuesday and Thursday. So appreciate you for that. But in planning the show, was that something that you always thought about, like being Instagram live or something you could do from home, or did you just pivot like everybody else had to?
No, great question. I think for me, it definitely did not start out planned to be on Instagram Live. The original idea was I was going to do this last year at the Howard Theater, and it was supposed to be big. It was supposed to be a big deal.
It's still big. It's still
Howard
big.
Theater costs a lot of money. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not cheap. So it really kind of came out of during this time while everyone was resetting and we all were trying to find our space. A friend of mine at the time was like, just start your show. Like, I was like, but I need just start your show. And they kept just reiterating that I just needed to start. It didn't matter where, it didn't matter how. As we seen in quarantine, like everything stopped for everyone. So for those who would just start, especially in that time, you already kind of got yourself ahead of the curve. So it was that piece of advice that made me just jump out and started on Instagram.
That's dope. That's really dope. So I think from March until now, you have remained the most consistent piece of content person. You more consistent than the quarantine. And I just want to know, like, how do you keep that up? Like, how do you keep that momentum going within yourself?
No, that's honestly, if I'm gonna be like completely transparent to with everyone out there, it's not me. Like if it was on me, the show would have been stopped. Like it was actually the consistency of my support system. You know, people who would tap in and be like, "Yo, Cook Tuesdays, Thursdays, we locking in." I'm like, gotta show up. Like it wasn't anything that was just made of who I was. It was absolutely God and my support system that kept me consistent.
Okay. Okay. So you had that support. Shout out to everybody that's here because I feel like
Hey, shout out to
that's y'all in the
everybody here.
audience. So can you just talk about how you built your audience from your close like support system to viewership, like from friends and family to just everybody else?
So honestly, and I would say that I'm one of the fortunate ones because anyone could tell you starting out something, those close to you, like they're not your core demographic. That's not the people who you really are supposed to attract. You're supposed to find your target audience. You're supposed to create them and build from there. But fortunately, what I was talking about resonated with those that were close to me. They also knew my story and what I did as a creative, so they locked in because of that. And then each episode, every time I brought on a new guest, it was like someone from their audience would find a part of the journey that they wanted to connect to as well. So it grew just naturally. Like I don't mean to fluff it for anyone out there, but it took a lot of conversations with myself and just saying like, hey, show up and whatever's meant to be is going to happen. And that's kind of the space that I continue to grow in myself.
Okay, so I want to talk about target audience for a little bit because I feel like that's a lot of what I struggle with as an entrepreneur and probably other people do as well. We start out with our idea and we know that like our friends and family are going to support us, but sometimes that support, kind of falls short sometimes or it's just like this may not be for you. So, can you talk about how you can pivot your target audience or find them in the first place?
So no, I mean, that's like that's the key, right? For anyone starting any type of entrepreneurial journey, creative journey, anything that you're trying to do and you're trying to get to the masses, you have to figure out who's it for and why. And for myself, I would say what that path looked like was um trying to find out what I needed. One of my personal mantras is be the person you needed when you're growing up, and then realize that you never stop growing up because there's always something you need at another level. And so I started targeting myself, like, all right, what do I need from a late night talk show? I was big into music. I would like to feature music producers. I came up with the cooking up segment. Now I have music producers reaching out and building playlists around that. I realized that there was no one speaking to these influencers out here. There's so many people who make moves behind the scenes. Like we see all the celebrities, but there's so many people that actually go into engineering, writing, and I was one of those behind the scene people with a story. And I was like, well, I have a story. I want to hear others with stories like me. And so I just looked for that gap that I saw in the world, and that's where I went for my target. And then the audience with it came after because then I started to see other people had that same curiosity, that same itch for learning, for growing, for just being. And so honestly, it was finding that gap for myself and creating it and then attracting the people. And now I'm able to say my target demographic is this
Okay. Okay.
out here.
I'm gonna try to remember that. I could play it back. So I want to speak to behind the scenes because I feel like that I feel like that's something that people often don't think about when they are thinking about doing something, planning something, building something out. So you started this show in your bedroom and here we are with a stage and sponsorships and set
Shout
design.
out to Powerhouse. Shout out to
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
So like let's talk about the behind the scenes of that. Like what did that look like for you? And did you have a goal of okay, I want to be in a studio by this date or did it just come to you?
So that all right, I'm actually gonna give y'all some real information, but the first answer to that is purpose and alignment is major. Now, if I can step back a little bit, um, it was one that goes back to that support system. I started out in a bedroom, yes. And honestly, after my first episode, literally, or fortunately for me, I had people that were around me that was like, hey, great episode. Here's how you improve. You need a ring light. Okay. I invest and I get a ring light. The show starts to pop a little bit more. Some people get into these interviews like, yo, this is dope. You need space, and then it kind of gradually grows. Like a lot of times when we're as creatives or as just people in general, we don't actually pursue something right off the bat. We typically we typically wait till something's perfect and then we release it. But if you look at it, like I take Twitter for example. Twitter changed their retweet button and we all went crazy. Like we was upset. Like I can't just retweet, like I gotta quote it. But they made a change, then they let the world react, and then they made the change back. So if Twitter can do proof of concept, trial and error themselves, then you as a creative, as a small business owner, have the right to put something out there and change it as you learn.
Yes. And honestly, that's something that I'm learning myself is that things don't have to be perfect. So I think that's a word right there. But I'm looking around and it seems like you kind of know what you're doing here. It seems very close to perfect. Shout out to the Posh Experience.
Shout out to Posh Experience. and wait. Shout out my Cooking the Late Night team on the production too. We got the lights right. You know, gang. We out here.
So back to what I was saying. How did you develop into this space? Like, how did you know what to do? Because I think anybody can sit in the room and say, hey, I want to start a TV show. And then there's all this stuff about equipment and lighting. So like, what's your background on that?
So first, and contrary to the last episode, I went to school for audio engineering. I did end up, because I had this path that started as a music artist that led to learning how to get behind the board and get behind the scenes. I followed that path, so I knew that part of it. And then a couple years back, or a year back, I was granted an opportunity to work for a bomb agency that actually does more production and started to get into this world. So like I slowly became a student at the workspace and I put myself in positions to learn the behind the scenes, learn what was doing. And then I was open to grow and develop in it. Now, as far as the late night show itself, I'm sorry, because you had a question, but as far as the late night show itself,
it's fine.
I realized what I wanted it to be and I didn't let anyone deter that. You know, yes, I set out on a track to be a late night talk show. So when people came up to me, they're like, oh, so that little podcast you're doing, are you making a podcast, or why is it not a podcast? I was like, because the vision is to be a late night talk show. So I studied where I wanted to go. I paid attention to the direction I was heading, and then I did the research behind it.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little off script here because
no, we didn't rehearse this. No, nope, not letting it. Nope.
You said, people will come to you, be like, oh, your little podcast, your little this. Like, how do you combat that energy when people just kind of, I feel like, diminish what you got going on? It's not a little, that's what I would say. But you seem a little more calm than me. So my question is, I don't think I phrased my question. How do you deter negative energy from other people, from outside people?
You let people be themselves. Like you allow them to be 100% who they are. If they meet you with that energy, you don't let it dictate yours. I'm gonna say this because I know that it's not going to be co-signed by my parents, but I got a tattoo of a light on my hand because it's a reminder to me that I'm meant to be the light. Like it's not on anyone else to be this light. And so because of that, I've always moved in a space that you can call this whatever you want to call this. This is a podcast. This is a pop-up shop. This is whatever you want it to be. But for me and for my vision, this is a late night talk show. And I'm going to maintain on that path. And anyone else, I appreciate their awareness and paying attention to it. But as it grows, they're going to get the picture as well.
Okay. Claps for that.
Happy to be here.
I appreciate. What are you sipping on?
That is not a question. That is.
That's my question.
That is not on that tablet. She's making this up off script.
You said have a conversation.
I am sipping something from Tipsy Dollars.
Shout out to Tipsy Dollars.
Already.
She made us these great drinks. Shout out to Tipsy Dollars. They're really good.
All day.
I'll go back on script now. I'm sorry. Okay, so you talked about being in the music industry and implementing it into production. So, we all heard you rap, right? Earlier.
Got a couple.
And
16 waiting.
You got more?
No, what? I said it. Now, like one of my like rapping friends is in the audience now. So like now I got that like swag
Okay.
back. You know, we here. DJ Ray Black is in the building. So now he rebranded. He calling for bigger things. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. So I don't think you told everybody. Like, I think you just started rapping, and one of the members in the audience was like really surprised, like, "Oh shoot, he can actually rap!" And I was like, "Yeah, no, he was a rapper at one time." So, what was your stage name?
Wow. You know what's funny? Uh,
We want to
hey,
know.
well, it's time to go, right?
No,
Sucks. We're still going. Okay.
we need to know
So no, it's funny. All of my stage names actually.
all of them.
All, first off,
gonna-
I don't like that tone.
We're gonna get into that later.
So my stage names has all been a kind of extension of my name. Started off as Young Cook, then became Cook the writer, then became
Cook the
a
writer.
guy named Cook. Yeah, I was because I wrote my lyrics. It was a lot
Oh, you
happening.
didn't have a ghostwriter. No ghostwriter.
I mean, I've ghostwritten for some people.
Oh,
I mean,
you. Oh,
no one that pop, but you know, I've been around. I'm not gonna hold you. I ain't gonna stunt. Like I would love to say I was around
Mhm.
dope writers, but yeah, no, all a Cook, and then at one point in time I went by Definition.
Okay.
That was a weird time.
So let's talk about the name Cook because it sounds like you've stuck with it throughout all of your stage names. I don't know how many all means, but what? Why? You
Why?
know? No, seriously, why? Because people decide what their names are and they go off course sometimes and they change it, but you stuck with Cook. But you don't cook.
First off, that the audience did not need to know that, nor did they. Like, wow, we just frying people. Like, this is why. This is why we don't have guest hosts. This is exactly why we can't have nice
This
things.
was all access. That's what you said.
So no, I mean, honestly, the reason why I've always went by my name is because it's always represented a lot to me. For my family over everything has always been what I stood by. And bigger than that, it was also something I've always had. I moved around a lot younger. I've been to a couple different schools and had different pockets of friends, and the one consistent thing that I've had was my family. And so I've always made it a point that whatever I build legacy wise is going to be something that they all have access to.
Okay. So I mean, you got a lot riding on your shoulders, like the entire Cook family, the legacy. It's on you.
I mean, it's a part
mean,
of it
like,
on me because I
It's,
do
it's
have
all
other
of your
family
stage
members.
names.
I do have other family members doing great things as well. I'm just the one bold enough to put it on everything. But it can feel like a lot, but it can also feel like your time. Like, it's always those tweets. I'm the first doctor in my family. I'm the first this in my family. I've always had a creative mind. I used to draw when I was younger, draw into rapping. Like I've always been big in this creative space, and I've always found this to be where I'm going to build my legacy from.
Okay.
So, and also the access, right? Because I'm sorry, but the access is important. If I think about lawyers and law firms, like all big law firms are named after the lawyer, like Steinberg and something else. Like I don't even know if that's a real one, but it
That
sounds
was a
like
good try.
it sounds legit. And so I was like, yo, why can't my family name mean just as much as those?
I like that.
We out here.
I like that. Come on, Black Pride.
I mean, we out here all day.
We are.
All
Okay.
day.
So I back to the scripted conversation. How did you evolve from Cook the writer?
Hey, shout out to my
to-
cousin Calvin. Sorry.
Hey, Calvin, Washington. All right.
All right, yeah, that's okay. We are family, man. That's what.
Okay.
And his birthday is a couple days ago. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Calvin. But how did you evolve from Cook the writer to Cook the creative architect?
That's a good question. So that evolution came in 2017 when I put together my first EP and I released it. It was called 2 Week Notice. It was about me actually quitting my former job because of a situation that took place. But when I released this project, I hosted it at the release party, not as an album listening session, because all the rappers was doing that back then. Like I hosted this release as an actual in an art gallery where we raised money for Dreams for Kids DC, which we're doing again, back at it again because we support the community. And once the event was over, I performed all my records, and then I looked around. I was like, I like putting this together. Like the music was cool, but the experience that was built and the timeless moment that came from that. And shout out my guy Rube. I hope he's still tuned in because he did the Arts Award logo design that came out that night, and he did the album cover for that project. So I saw a lot of people get behind an idea, and I was like, I want to build more.
Okay, you want to build more. So, I mean, let's talk about Cook the architect because I think that sounds really cool. I'm sorry, Cook the creative architect.
Get me right out here.
The creative architect. My bad.
You know,
it sounds really cool, but it also sounds pretty vague. So, how many things do you do? Like,
so um, too much if you watch that last episode. However, as far as me and the creative architect, one, I think that it comes to a couple things. As an architect, you have a knowledge and a skill set for various things. This whole title came out from my last job working at the Capitol. But you know various things. You know how to put together a blueprint. You know how to get the right contractors to build out what you're trying to do. Like as an architect, you have a wide vision for how something comes together. But the difference between you and just a regular contractor or builder is an architect looks to create something that's timeless. What I put my mind behind is something that will last, something that's going to impact and going to resonate. And so, as far as the skill sets behind me, it ranges from audio to I'm aware of the virtual digital space. I'm aware of graphic designs. I'm aware of videos. I know these things where I could jump in and offer assistance or input. However, I also know when I need to step away and just be the overseer to watch something build and something to last. So that's kind of where it comes from. I dabble in a lot, but I much rather see something that can sustain itself and let others, reap the benefits. And shout outs to those who y'all gonna see in the credits.
okay, I like that answer. I think it's very inspirational. And I mean, it definitely speaks to me, I hope to other creatives out there and entrepreneurs. But with all of these different avenues, it sounds like you have a great foundation for success. Do you agree?
Is that a trick question?
I'm sorry?
Is that a trick? I'm sorry. Is this thing on? Check. Okay.
It was a yes or no question.
No. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I gotta stop being difficult. It's the drink. It's the tipsy dollar. Tipsy dollar gives you the confidence you need for all interviews.
That was great. That was a great pitch.
Ooh, you laughing?
I got tipsy dollars. You talk about what it takes to build from the ground up.
I didn't study for this one. Honestly,
Is on the script.
No, it takes resiliency. It takes to knowing like one, betting on yourself and knowing how much in the hole you're willing to go. Right? People always tell you to bet on yourself, and that's cool. But when it's looking a little negative in that bet, you got to be willing to withstand that and dig back. Like I'm not going to say that it's like having a gambling problem because you do need to walk away from some things at some time. But I will say that in terms of building this out, you have to also know where your vision is going. Like have the blueprint, have the direction, have the aim towards it, and then bet on yourself and then dig in whenever it gets tough. Know what your threshold of quit is, right? What is your values aligned with? Because before you can get into something, you have to be knowing what's worth that sacrifice.
Amazing. Amazing. Shout out to Tipsy Dollars. That sounds fantastic. And I think that your trajectory is something worth noting. But for the viewers at home that are in the beginning stages, can you share like any type of advice on how to pick an idea and get started?
Yeah, so for those who are tapped in anywhere, when it comes to picking an idea, write any idea that you have, write it out as much as God has given you the vision for it, right? Like if you get if you're inspired and like, yo, you know what? I want to start a clothing line. Write the name of the clothing line out, write the Instagram as much as you are gifted in that moment, write it out. And then once that thought's out of your brain, take a couple days, go back to it. If you revisit it and you're like, nah, this can go further, dive in more. Because we all get ideas, we all have these flutters of thoughts, but you have to also know like when something is an idea for later in a moment and when something's now. And when it's present for you, it will tug at you. Like it will not stop bothering you. Like create me. It will literally yell that. So that's what I would say for anyone. Create something and don't be afraid to do it and to pivot with it too. One idea may not lead to where you think it will originally go, but over time it will take you down the right path. For instance, I am not a rapper, but it is a part of who I am. It is a part of what I built. That is why this show's intro is me rapping because it took me getting here to do that.
I like that. And it also resonates with something I heard earlier today is that sometimes your passion, your purpose is right in front of you and you may not even know it.
Facts.
And you honestly just have to look within yourself. And I think writing it down is a great way, or just writing a couple things down, like what are things that I enjoy, and uh, at the end, how can I monetize it?
Nah, facts.
Because
Uh,
yeah.
no, I mean, and absolutely, you do want to make sure that you get to that path of monetization. But that goes back to my point earlier as to what your threshold is, right? Because some things you're not going to make money off of instantly. You might spend more than you're going to make in the first year. Like might hit a hole before you really cash out on it. So you have to know what you're willing to do that for.
Okay. And I mean, that's honest. And I think that in a creative space or an entrepreneurship space, like it's a little bit difficult to start or to get something going because I mean, I feel like we're typically raised to go to school for however long of a time, get a job, work for somebody else, and you retire and you pass on. However, I think that what you're doing and what so many other people are doing is amazing, like working through your purpose through creativity. So like how do you find your purpose within creativity? Because I mean it's not like something a path that I guess you thought that you would go along when you were in school. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna get a job one day. But you're doing so many different things with so many different stage names.
No, yeah, that's a great question. Sorry, I like when I hear thoughtful questions, I kind of look off into the distance because my mind's legit walking through what you're saying. And for me, I think it's a couple parts. One, um, we are all actually born creatives. I don't want to get too spiritual on this platform, and
That's all right.
it's my platform. What am
That's
I
all
talking
right.
about? Own it. So as far as this goes though, like God is our number one creator, right?
Mhm.
We are made in His image. So as children of God, we are all creators, which by extension we can be creative. And I find those moments where I am truly creative is when I actually tap into that God-like DNA. That's when purpose starts to build. That's when ideas actually start to expand because now you find yourself tapping into something that's beyond you, and then you don't see limitations and you actually begin to manifest and you begin to create it, and then once you create it you begin to execute it and show it out to the world. So I would say for anyone out there, the time to be creative is when you feel that surge, when you find yourself with nothing left, because that's when we also go to God, right? So that kid in college may find themselves like out of food, and they may make the fire ramen that happens with the nacho cheese chips and everything that comes together. You get creative when you have nothing else because that's when you really tap into that godlike DNA.
Amen. Amen. I can say that because it's your platform.
You're right. It's gonna get
Um,
taken down.
I have one last question for you, Mr. Cook, with
What
the
up?
tipsy dollars.
Please.
And I feel like everybody who watches your show knows what it is. And I want to get it right. I want to say it right. I want to do the whole like the cook emphasis on it. What does legacy mean to you?
Didn't see that coming. Legacy to me is moments like this. Moments where you can just stop and take in and see something that extends beyond you and what you just do. Like all that you do as a person. Legacy to me is being able to it's that name Cook, being able to get access anywhere in the world. My family can walk into any bank and they'll be good. They can walk into any job opportunity and say, "Hey, I'm Cook," and that stamp means something. It's knowing that what I did and every person that I passed, whether it was for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, they were able to get that light that I talk about being, and that I was able to just be there for people. Like one of the things that if you actually do know me, that you realize is my phone line's always open. I pull up on you to check on you to just see if things good, make sure something's working out, and I do all that because I also want to make sure that when I'm no longer here, as I mentioned, my family is good. They're taken care of. So I invest in people around me because I know that that love is going to be invested back in my loved ones once I'm not here.
That is beautiful. That is really beautiful. Thank you so much, Cook.
Hey, I
Thank you for
appreciate you,
allowing
Jasmine
me,
Pearl.
Jasmine Pro, yes. Thank you for allowing me to be in your seat. I really enjoyed it. I think you should let me do it more.
No,
Just no.
nah, but the spinoff is coming.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, maybe we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
But thank you for being a great host.
Oh, I mean, I always come prepared.
By the way, you are dressed down. Like shout outs to you. Like how
Thank you.
did you get it? Did you work with anyone?
Yes, actually, my
Really?
good friend, my very, very good friend, Mr. Brian Lamont, he styled me today.
Wow, that's crazy
And
because
yes,
he
please,
styled
because
me.
should I get up?
Yeah, what do you think?
Because honestly, I would have never found anything like this. Razzle dazzle, okay.
Okay, razzle dazzle. Hey, now shout outs to Brian Lamont for keeping us clean out here. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Anise.
Oh, look at hey, ain't that you in the picture?
Oh, that's
Ooh.
a high school picture.
Hey, Anise with the high school picture. Jasmine Pearl in the left corner.
Shout out to Hi Jedi. Shout out to Anise, my business partner, who helped me create this all, virtually.
Tell us so what TPE? Please promote. Plug it.
Okay.
Plug it.
The Posh Experience is an experiential event planning company. We focus on the experiences in life, and we plan not just events, but anything that you can think of: photo shoots, set designs, sleepovers. Honestly, like anything that you don't want to do yourself, we could probably do it, and we add some flair to it. You know what I'm saying?
No, y'all bodied this. Shout outs to y'all. Well, with that said, you're the host. Please, what do you want to do next?
I do want tipsy dollars. But again, happy birthday to you. I think, can everybody clap for Cook? Happy birthday.
Turn up. Tyler Greens.
So, I mean, what?
It was a 2 Chainz lap. Right.
Okay.
Y'all don't listen to all right.
No.
He said
but yes, anyway, thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to all of our sponsors. Please, if you have not donated to support the movement, you still can. Dreams for Kids, they're having their talent show tomorrow. You can, just lend a helping hand and help out some kids that really need it.
So yeah, through the Eventbrite, you can go to support the movement and donate. Your donations will be again partially donating to helping to grow the show, and partial donations going to Dreams for Kids DC. Shout outs to Glenda Fu for stopping by earlier to tell us more about it. We want to just shout out all of our sponsors involved. Want to say thank you again to the Posh Experience for this bomb set design. Want to say thank you to Tipsy Dollars for this bomb drink that got me lit. Want to say thank you to Powerhouse Studios for letting us come through and shoot this tonight. And want to say thank you to Chuck Levins for the audio gear, everything that they've done. Shout outs to them for the performances earlier. We are blessed by our community on this show. Shout outs to all you guys watching at home, locked in, the guys, everyone who came out tonight. I just can't thank everybody enough. And happy birthday to me. I'm turning up.
Happy birthday.
Hey. So, with that said, if you watched the last episode, you saw Nouvelle perform. We are going to try to stream his live performance from last night that we recorded. And this is it's not kind of lit. It's really lit.
It's
like
lit.
I enjoy this, so we gonna play it, right? And if it don't work out how I'm saying it's gonna work out, y'all know we had a great episode. But we gonna keep it rocking, and we gonna be back. But stay cooking in the meantime. Let's do it.
Check. Hey, so to all, everyone out there, so I apologize for that last video, maybe not played audio all the way straight through. We're gonna make sure we add that video in the comment section because y'all need to hear that performance from Nouvelle. But I am not gonna hold you guys any longer. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this live event right now. You all at home, I hope you have a drink and celebration as well. Good morning to all my creatives, and you guys stay cooking. We just getting started, baby. Josie, you out?